Hey friends, today's video is actually sponsored by MSI. They sent over their MEG Z490 Ace new Intel motherboard for us to check out. So big thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Let's go ahead and talk about one of the latest high-end LGA 1200 motherboards that MSI has released for the 10th gen Intel chips. So this motherboard actually packs a lot of higher end features, but not at that super premium flagship pricing. The MEG lineup is for enthusiasts. It's part of their enthusiast gaming lineup. And the higher step above this one would be the Z490 Godlike, which retails for quite a bit more, but the Z490 Ace actually has a lot of the same fit and finish that you might find on that motherboard, such as the 6-layer PCB design. This has a 16+1 phase VRM with a large heatsink with thermal pad to make sure not only, number one, are you getting the stock clocks that you need out of the new Intel chips, but number two, you have plenty of capacity for delivering the power that's necessary for overclocking. And as we know, the new Intel chips draw a lot of power, and the Z490 Ace is capable of delivering all of that power to you. But they also have a MOSFET backplate to make sure that things stay cool there. They have 3 turbo M.2 slots. MSI has also introduced the Frozer heatsink design for their I/O setup, including a fan in there, as well as illuminating the I/O shroud, making sure that number one, again, as it's delivering the power, it stays cool, but also beautiful, and it makes sure that everything is set up the way that you need it. It has the Mystic Light setup, as I mentioned, and then both the DDR4 slots, of which there are 4, and the PCI Express slots all feature steel armor. But let's get back to that DDR4. You can support up to 128 gigs on this motherboard, as well as up to DDR4 4800, just normal support. It probably can overclock faster than that. I didn't have any RAM on hand to test that type of speed, but out of the box support for 4800 is pretty good. Then as far as the physical designs of it, it has a chest plate, back plate on the back of the motherboard to make sure that there's no flexing, there's no bending. The heavy weight of all of the heat sinks that they've put out top is reinforced on the back of the PCB and supporting that 6-layer PCB design. On top of that, you've got tons of I/O and tons of options, a 2.5 gig LAN port, as well as a 1 gig LAN port, as well as Wi-Fi 6 supported by Intel's AX201 Wi-Fi card. And then for audio, they're using the Audio Boost ESS Sabre 9018 Q2C DAC, making sure that all of the audio that you're getting is delivered properly. Then the I/O, you have the pre-installed I/O shield, which I absolutely always love, with the supported options of a clear CMOS button, flash BIOS, a PS2 port, which is really important. On high-end motherboards, you tend to see those features go away. MSI still realizing that analog support is still very important, as well as 2 USB 2.0 ports. Then you've got 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 10 gig ports, then 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 5 gig ports, and then 1 single USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 20 gig ports. So all of the I/O options that you could possibly need, as well as the LAN options that I mentioned, the Wi-Fi 6 ports, and then the HD audio and optical out. This motherboard has a lot of what you could possibly want. We have put this with our 10900K that MSI also sent over, and we've been able to overclock it to 5.3 gigahertz steady. It actually has been the main editing rig for UFD Tech, for our editor Catlin, for quite some time. The Z490 Ace, making sure that we can hit that and providing all of the stability we need. That's one of the things that I have come to value a lot as we've gotten further down this YouTube journey. It's not necessarily all about hitting that peak performance, but what is the best sustained performance that you can have over a long time, and the Z490 Ace actually provides that. And then with the LGA 1200 socket, you should be enabled to go on to the next gen of CPUs if Intel happens to announce that. And then also to just go over what you get included with the box, number one is obviously the motherboard, which we have gone ahead and installed somewhere else, but you get SATA cables, which again, I've already used one. You get more SATA cables, a fan extension setup, the Wi-Fi card, we use LAN here, and then RGB extensions, as well as a driver disc, all of the cable labels that you could possibly need, a bunch of rewards, a case badge, as well as a quick installation guide to make sure that you know what's going on, and then the user guide as well. So MSI including plenty of options for you to make sure that you have all of the available accessories. The Z490 Ace, a very simple setup, and might I add, it just looks gorgeous. The gold accents tend to work really, really well on this motherboard. The RGB is done very tastefully. MSI has done a lot to refine the style style on their new Z490 boards, and I absolutely appreciate it. So big thanks again for MSI sponsoring this overlook on the Z490 Ace. We'll leave a link in the video description for you to check out the Z490 Ace yourself. Thanks MSI again for helping us out, and thank you for watching this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech related content. I'm Brett. Thank you so much. Goodbye.